What is going on, traders? We got a lot to talk about. It's been a few days. We had the hurricane and everything happen here. My internet was a little iffy over the weekend, so I want to make sure everything was straight before I go making another video. I hope you guys are safe as well. I'm fine over here, and we're gonna keep this thing going. We're gonna keep making money in the market, and we're gonna keep talking about the market. So let's get straight into it. So today was pretty boring, but we had a crazy close, right? And I always tell you guys, usually anything before Jerome Powell, the initial move that happens before Jerome Powell speaking, FOMC, is usually the wrong move. Now, if you're new to this channel and you don't understand what that means, it simply means that if the market is bearish heading into Jerome Powell's speech, which we saw today, we saw a little bit of downside today heading into a speech, then typically that is the wrong move, and the market is going to do the opposite of that move after his speech. It happens all the time. It's very consistent. I even said this in the Discord with one of the admins that it's very consistent on how much that happens. And I think it happens so much simply because retail don't notice it and they don't pay attention to it and they haven't caught on to it. So, market makers are going to continue to do that and continue to trap retailers doing that. And so today we saw exactly that. We saw a bearish move and then we saw a bullish move heading into close. And typically the next day is a continuation of that move. So in case it's not clear, tomorrow I'm pretty bullish. I think we're going to see more upside. But let's get into the reason why. Now, in my last video, I told you guys, it was last week, but I did tell you guys that if any week was the market was going to be extremely bullish or we see an explosion across the market, I think it's going to be this week. I told you guys to pin that video, tag that video. And if I'm wrong, feel free to comment whatever you need to get off your chest and let me know that I was wrong. But I do think that this week is going to go crazy to the upside. We're going to see more upside. Okay. Maybe not crazy. It may happen within the next 2 weeks overall where we see like really crazy movement. But I do think we're going to see a lot more upside this week. All right. So still sticking by that. So now we're looking at the NASDAQ, and we had an excellent close. As you guys can see here, we pretty much rejected here, we rejected here. We had this falling wedge. We rejected here, we broke through, and we broke above this daily supply and demand zone. We mounted the supply and demand zone for about a day or two, a few days, and we rejected the supply and demand zone, thus showing us that we may see more upside. Now, when we go to the 4 hour time frame and get a closer look, you guys see it clear as day. We broke out, and all we've been doing is just consolidating and mounting above this level. So it's been pretty annoying dealing with this market. And I tell my Discord members all the time that the market is going to do its best to annoy you out of your positions. It's going to do its best to scare you out of your positions. You got to stay 10 toes down in this market and really trust the strategy and trust the process. Otherwise, you're going to get stopped out of your positions all the time. You're going to panic out of your positions all the time. And it's understandable. It's money on the line. But that's what the market does. It gets you out of your position, and then suddenly the next day, the play that you were in goes the direction you wanted it to go. So we're seeing this happen. Okay. We're seeing a lot of annoying movement. We're just seeing it over and over. And I still think we're going to see more upside. Now, let's talk about my targets here. So I told you guys, and I've been telling you guys for quite some time that 20,800 is one of my targets, right? We haven't got there yet. So I still think we're going to see that. We can head as high as about 21,300. And we're not going to focus on that target, but just know that that target is on the table. And we'll talk about that if we ever get to our 20,800 target. So things are looking good in regards to the NASDAQ. We're above the supply and demand zone. We broke out of this falling wedge here. Things are looking fine. I see no reason to be bearish. Everyone, your favorite YouTubers were all bearish last week. Their Black Swan event, everything's going to crash and things like that. I want to make something clear. A Black Swan event is not an event you know about. The port strike is not a Black Swan event. Okay. You know about it. You know that it exists. You know it's going to happen. All right. It's not a Black Swan event. So I don't think the market is too much worried about the port strike event. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I don't think the market is worried about something it already knows is going to happen or potentially happen. Okay. So I think we're fine. Someone asked about that in the Discord a few days ago or like a week or so ago, and I want to make that clear. It's not a Black Swan event, and I don't know why so much fear mongering is happening around it on YouTube, Twitter, Reddit. Everybody's just going crazy about this, and it's just like the market is fully aware. The market is forward looking. If the market was worried about this, I think we would see a much bigger drop. We'll see though. All right, ES. So ES very very strong here. Very very nice here. You see that bulls have stepped in. We're on the 4-hour time frame by the way, but you see that bulls have stepped in here over and over and over. I mean, look at all these bullish wicks. Hopefully, you guys can see these wicks, but you got a bullish wick here, bullish wick here, bullish wick here. Just tons of rejection from the downside. And look how you ended today. Huge rejection from the downside, and you managed to get above 5,800, which we were having a very hard time getting above. I think we're going to see more upside. My target for the ES is still, what was it? I believe 5880, 5870, 5880, somewhere around that range. I think we're going to see more upside. The Bulls are very strong in this area. I mean, I see no reason. Again, I see no reason to be bearish. I don't know why there's so much fear mongering on everyone being bearish. I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something. You let me know in the comments below. But right now, things are looking okay. Okay. Bulls continue to step in. We've mounted this level. We mounted the 5780. As long as we stayed above 5780, I think I mentioned this in the Discord, but if I did it, as long as we stay above 5780, we're fine on the ES. We're fine on the SPY. We're completely fine as long as we stay above that 5780. And now we are above 5800. We stay above 5800, start packing your bags. We're heading to the moon. All right. So as long as we stay above this level, as long as bulls continue to show strength, I have no reason to be worried. I don't think you have a reason to be worried unless you're bearish. And if you're bearish, then good luck. All right. But regardless, things look fine. All right. So let's look at the semiconductor ETFs and then we'll get into some stocks. All right. So let's look at SMH. I got to type it in. So here we go. So let's look at SMH. Semiconductor ETFs, they look fine. Okay, I want to make that clear. They look fine. They don't look too bad. They don't look too crazy. I mean, I'm not exactly a fan of this, but I see no reason to be extremely bearish right now. All we did was break down and retest this level here at around 243. We couldn't get below 243. We'll say 242, somewhere around that range, and we rejected. Okay, and towards close, look what happened. We're looking at the 4-hour time frame, by the way. Want to make that clear. But look what happened. You had a bullish inverted hammer pattern. A very, very good reaction to it, by the way. You broke down. You broke down below, what was it, 243? Like I said, you broke down below 243, and look what happened towards close. You immediately rejected. Okay, you rejected. Bull stepped in very strong here. I know you guys probably can't see that wick, but trust me, it's there and it is rejecting. Bulls have stepped in strong once again, thus showing that we're going to see more upside. And I think SMH is going to start heading towards 260. We go to the daily time frame here. And as you guys can see, we have a fair value gap on the daily time frame all the way in the 260s to 70 range. We even have an open gap here that has yet to be filled all the way up here in the 270s. Okay, right here. So that's where I think we're going to start heading. Okay, I think we're going to see more upside within the semiconductors, and then from there, once we mitigate this fair value gap, we'll talk about what can happen from here. I think that's when we'll start seeing an actual sell-off in the market, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But things look great. We go to the weekly time frame. I don't think this is no, so this isn't it. But we go back down to the daily time frame. Things look great. We mounted this level. We're rejecting this level on the daily time frame. We closed bullish. I have no complaints. Okay, so things are looking good in regards to SMH. We look at SOXX. So we look at SOXX, and I told you guys in another video that as long as SOXX closes above, I believe it was 228 or 227, somewhere around there, this is bullish, okay? And one of my targets is 250. We have yet to get there. I think we're going to head to 250 from here, but this looks absolutely amazing. I mean, I have no complaints right now. I have no reason to be bearish. I don't know why everybody else is bearish. We'll see. But regardless, you broke trend here, right? Not only did you break trend, but you have a low here, and then you have a higher low here. Now, you can argue that this is a double bottom. I'm all for it. That's completely fine. I see no reason not to think it's a double bottom, but I'm more specific with my double bottom, so I can understand if someone says this isn't a double bottom, but I also can understand why someone would think this is a double bottom. But regardless, our neckline, if we wanted to consider this a double bottom, will be around the 230, we'll say the 239, 240 range. Okay, if we break above this, we're heading towards this next fair value gap that needs to be mitigated at around the 250, 250, 257 range, somewhere around there. If we mitigate that fair value gap, we're good to go. There's also another gap here, just like I showed you guys on SMH. Let's actually mark this gap. We have another gap here at around the 257 range that needs to be filled. Okay, so things are looking good for the semiconductor ETFs as well. So speaking of semiconductors, let's get into Nvidia. So Nvidia had a very interesting close. Okay, very interesting close. And so one thing we saw today with Nvidia is 120. We wanted to get above 120. Nvidia was having a hard time around 120, so us closing above 120 is an actually very good sign. But what makes this even better? Okay, what makes this even better, guys? What I tell you guys about fair value gaps. If you break above a fair value gap, there is a chance that you're going to continue in that direction. Okay, so if you break above a fair value gap or you break below a fair value gap, there's a chance that you're going to continue in a direction and you're looking at a potential breakout. Well, look what happened with Nvidia. So we have this cup and handle, head and shoulders pattern, whichever one you want to call it. I'm not mad at either one. You can call it whatever. If it looks like the pattern, assume that it is the pattern until proven otherwise. But you have a potential shoulder here, another shoulder here, and then you have your head here. Now, if you want to call this a cup and handle, by all means, I'm for that as well. So we can just get rid of this so-called shoulder here, and we could say, boom, this is the handle right here. So boom, and then this will be more of the handle in this area right here. So you will have a handle here, you break out, you pretty much consolidate above the handle, and then you finally actually break out to the upside, and then you retest this trend right here. So there's another trend right here. You retest it, and look what happens on the 4 hour. You break out, you come back, you retest the trend, you retest this fair value gap, you mitigate this fair value gap actually, and then you break back above the fair value gap. Not only did you break back above the fair value gap on Nvidia, but you rejected. There's a huge wick right here. So bulls stepped in very strong here, and now we're closing above the fair value gap. Now, I will say there is still a lot more turbulence in this area that we need to get above. I think we won't have a problem getting above it, but we need to get above 122. We get above 122, then we're heading to this 123.6, 124. We'll just round it up. I'm not picky on targets, but 124, somewhere around that range. But we're seeing a lot of fluctuations and orders coming in for the 130 level. We'll talk about that in another video. But right now, Nvidia looks great. Nvidia looks fine. Semiconductors ETFs look fine. I have no complaints. So let's look at the daily time frame, make sure I'm not missing anything. And so we go to the daily time frame, we see this huge symmetrical triangle. We talked about this for quite some time. If Nvidia can break, so let's get rid of all these drawings real quick because I want you guys to really pay attention to this next part. We talked about in the last video, but I just want to make sure it's clear again. And so if Nvidia, I think this is good enough. So if Nvidia can just get above these guys right here, we're talking about the 130 area, but just for a better idea on what I'm looking at, if Nvidia can just break out of this area right here where all this turbulence is, and you guys see it right here. We hit the top of the symmetrical triangle, right? We hit where these guys are, and then we broke down. So that just shows how powerful and strong this area is and how much we need to break above it. Okay. We talked about this before. If we can break above these guys, Nvidia is going to go absolutely ballistic to the upside, especially if it breaks not only above these guys, but it breaks out of the symmetrical triangle on a daily time frame. So nothing is yet confirmed with Nvidia in regards to potential upside, but things are looking good. Again, we just need to get rid of these guys. We need to stop these guys out of their position. You guys see the reaction here. We tried, we hit the top of the symmetrical triangle or, the bottom, I guess. I don't know. But regardless, you hit the top of the trend and then you hit where these guys are. They stepped in, boom, broke back down. And now it looks like we're going to try again to start heading towards that upside. If we can get above 122, we're looking good. Okay, so 122, but my main target for Nvidia, if we really get above 130, we're heading to 150. I have no doubt in my mind. So we'll see. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at in regards to Nvidia. And so let's talk about Tesla. Now, I didn't plot Tesla, so I have no idea what I'm about to look at here. But let's see. So Tesla has his sales coming out, I believe tomorrow or Wednesday, either one. But regardless, Tesla looks fine. Okay, I think Tesla is going to head to 270. That's not really saying much. That's about the best I got for Tesla. But honestly, I mean, with the event coming up and everything else, I wouldn't be surprised Tesla sees 300. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this week, but I just wouldn't be surprised. My first target is 270 right now. That's the target I'm focused on. Honestly, given how volatile Tesla is, we're not too far off from that target, but that is what I would be looking for. The 300 target, I definitely think we could see soon or this year. Okay. Not only that, but we do have somewhat of a cup and handle, maybe a head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern. Um, it's something here. All right. There's something here. I'm not going to mark it out because it's not the cleanest and I don't feel like arguing with anybody in my comments about it. So we'll see. But regardless, Tesla looks fine. I have no complaints. Pay attention to the news tomorrow. It could be a buy the rumor, sell the news. We'll just have to wait and see. It's either tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, I'm pretty bullish on Tesla. 270 is my target. Max we could be looking at is around 300 level. And let's look at the triple Q. So I didn't really look at the triple Qs or the SPY. We just kind of jumped right into the stocks, right? So my bad. Kind of out of order here. But regardless, triple Qs looks fine. So one target I told you guys, as long as the triple Qs, I think I said this, or maybe I said it in the Discord. If the triple Q stays above 486, we're good. Okay, 486, we are fine. Now, what I would like to see the triple Qs do is to get above this daily supply and demand, not this daily supply and demand zone. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame. And so one thing we're having a hard time doing is just breaking out of this area here. We tried, we did it before, we gapped up, and then we're breaking back in it. So we want to see the triple Qs break out of this area. Closing above 486 is fine. That's great actually. That's a good sign. But we really want to break out of this area. We see that bulls can again, like I showed you guys on the Nasdaq, bulls continue to step in over and over. We just need to break out of here. And as you guys can see, we tried towards close and then we pretty much broke down. Okay, we broke down. We didn't break down, but we pretty much rejected so far. I wouldn't take this too seriously, but things are still looking fine in regards to the triple Qs. I have absolutely no complaints. Things are looking good. I have no reason to be bearish right now. And so you guys see, we broke out of this falling wedge. We broke out, we gapped up, and then we slowly trickled up. We kind of broke down again, and now it looks like we're trying to go for it again. So if we can get above that 488 level, what is this? Yeah, 488, then we're definitely going to head higher. I would say 489. I mean, I guess you can count 490 as your psych level. So we'll just say 490 to keep it on the safe route. If we get above 490, then I think we will have no issues seeing 500. And you guys know that my target, all-time high target for this year in regards to triple Qs is 510. We look at the SPY. I am definitely going backwards here, so I do apologize. But SPY closing above 573, that is major. Okay, that is a huge level to close above. We've seen that we continue to have trouble getting above 573. Now, after hours, it is at 572.73. I don't necessarily take after hours seriously, but we'll see. Regardless, like I said before, as long as ES stays above 5780, we're fine. You guys see here, we have this ascending triangle. We've been talking about this like almost every video so far. So ascending triangle on the SPY, you have your you have your low here, right? And then you have another higher low here, and then you have your flat top. So that makes it an ascending triangle. You have a supply and demand zone. You broke out of the supply and demand zone. You somewhat attempted to retest it, I guess. It may be a little bit off, so let's see. So yeah, you went to retest it. Yeah, so you retested here, you retested here, you retested here, boom. So bulls continue to step in at the rejection of the supply and demand zone. So that's a very good sign, and we closed very strong here. So really liking the SPY. My target still remains the same. I'm looking at 580. Highest I'm looking at is about 5,985 sometime this week, probably. My all-time high targets, as you guys will know, is about 600 on the spot. And so we look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, absolute beast. Okay, absolute monster. I mean, we talked about this, right? I've been telling you guys that Bitcoin is going to break out. Once we saw this Folly 3 method, it was smooth sailing immediately after I put out that video. I mean, it broke out almost immediately after that video. So congratulations if you are trading Bitcoin or investing into Bitcoin or trading any stocks related to Bitcoin. I mean, I think Bitcoin is going to head higher. My target still remains the same. I'm looking at about, well, we pretty much got close to 67,000. I told you guys my first target is 65,000 and then 67,000. After that, I mean, if we break above this area right here, then we're clearly heading to 70,000. I have no doubts in my mind. But as you guys can see, this red line right here is is that red? No, that's not red. Okay, usually I mark my weekly levels as red, so I just assumed it was red. But regardless, this line right here is daily support. Sorry, so daily support. And as you guys can see, we're pretty much here, right? We haven't broken down. We pretty much are rejecting it so far. So we'll see how long this holds. But right now, Bitcoin looks fine. Okay, it looks fine. I would like to see a push to the upside, but as long as Bitcoin stays above 63,000, I think we're pretty much good here. All right, so that's what I have for Bitcoin. Now, a stock someone requested was AVGO. I didn't plot AVGO, so we're just gonna wing this, okay? So we're looking, let's go to the daily time frame because that's usually how I start looking at charts and boom. So we have a double bottom. So that's very, very nice. All right. Very nice sign. And then boom, trend right here. So you guys know I'm not winging it or making it up. You reject it here. You reject it here, you're rejecting here, and then you broke back up, you gapped up, you broke out. And then now it looks like best case scenario, so actually there's a supply and demand zone here as well. Okay, so we have it's not going to be perfect, so give me a moment here. Supply and demand zone is about right there. Okay, this thing looks bullish. Okay, so it definitely looks bullish. I mean, worst case scenario, and this is just the worst case scenario right now. Worst case scenario is that we do one of these moves, maybe retest 167. That's the worst case scenario. But we did close above the supply and demand zone. So my bet is that we're just going to head back towards 180. I do imagine there's a fair value gap somewhere around here on the lower time frames. But right now, it looks like this thing can head to 180, 182. We'll see what happens. But right now, AVGO looks fine. We have somewhat of a double. We have a double bottom here. We broke the neckline. As you guys can see, we're retesting the neckline actually. So you have your bottom here, you have a low here, higher low here, and you're retesting the neckline. So AVGO looks good to the upside. Maybe 180. Highest we could be looking at is about 200. So good lookout on this stock here. So AVGO looks fine, and considering that I'm pretty bullish on the ETFs, I think this would do pretty well. I think AVGO falls under um, I want to say SOXX. I think it's the number one holding for SOXX. I could be wrong. It's either SOXX or SNH. And so, another stock I want to look at is Amazon. I really like how Amazon looks. Okay, I really like how Amazon looks here. So we go to the weekly time frame on Amazon, right? Let's actually zoom out. So we rejected here, we rejected here, and look what happened here. We go down to a smaller time frame, so we go to the daily time frame. We're pretty much here, right? We came back, we retested Amazon. I think Amazon is going to either. So the worst case scenario. Let's talk about the worst case. In the worst case scenario, it has towards 182. Okay, 182, maybe not. Maybe 180, 182, somewhere around there. That's the worst case scenario. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's something you should be prepared for, right? But right now, as long as we're above this weekly level, I think Amazon is going to head back towards 200. Simple as that. Okay, I genuinely do. I think Amazon deserves to be above 200. It's only a matter of time. I wouldn't be surprised it happens for their earnings, but Amazon looks absolutely great here. I think it's going to continue to bounce from here. I think it's going to bounce from here and then continue to head higher back towards that 200 level. So somewhere around 182, 180, 182, 189 is where you could consider investing into Amazon. Not financial advice. That's just something I'm doing. And then from there, if you want to trade Amazon, I would look for about a 190 contract, 187.5, somewhere around there. If you want to see exactly how we're going to play Amazon, Discord link is in the description below. But Amazon looks great here. I actually really, really like Amazon here. I think it's going to do amazing things. Okay. SOXL. So as you guys can see, we're just running through everything. So as long as XOXL stays above 36, bullish. Simple as that. Stays above 36, it's bullish. Um, and then it can head towards 42, 45, somewhere around that range, and we'll see what happens from there. I'm surprised there's no fair value gaps open to the upside. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe the indicator's just lagging or something. But regardless, SOXL looks fine. Stays above 36. You're good to go. Simple as that. And that's pretty much all I wanted to go over here. I guess we can look at Baba. I don't have much for Baba, but what I will say is that, and we've been bullish on Baba for like months. I talked about Baba in one of my like a few videos a while back, and I think this thing is going to continue to go higher. Now, I don't think it's going to continue to go higher from here. There is a possibility for a dip from here, maybe towards at some point, I do imagine it's going to want to retest the 90s area, somewhere around there, before it heads higher. But Baba is extremely undervalued, extremely undervalued. I think this thing deserves to be in the 130s. I wouldn't even be surprised if it goes higher than that, but right now I'm focused on the 130s. Apple. I didn't even know Apple did this. I honestly did not know Apple broke above 230. So I've totally missed this move. Um, this is extremely bullish. 240, simple as that. This thing is heading to 240. 235, lowest 240. Okay, that's all I got for it. Other than that, that's all I have for this video, traders. If you want to join the Discord and see, I mean, it's been great. It's really great seeing everyone's success in the Discord. So join the Discord if you want to. Link is in the description below. We're gonna continue to kill it. We're gonna continue to do better. We're gonna continue to earn. It's been an absolute blast. Just seeing the group grow and just seeing conversations grow. It's a boring market right now. I understand that much. It's a very boring market now, so there's not going to be too much to talk about. But every day I'm trying to find us some really solid plays. But and if you want part of that, by all means, join the Discord. Until then, until the next video, traders, you have a good one.